Everybody, my name's Chris Hall. Welcome to today's webinar. I've got my wonderful colleague Ria Garg with me from Izango. And today we're going to talk about cash flow being king and how to make weekly billing easy again, or maybe it's never been easy and make it easy for the first time. Ria, first of all, welcome to the webinar. Thank you for joining us as a co-presenter today.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris, and it's so lovely to work with you every time. And I hope we put some value to our to everybody in here so that they can do their billing in a much easier way.
Exactly. And look, I want to make today's webinar very interactive. So I've got about a couple of polls that I've just immediately put up on the right-hand side here. So the first question that I want to connect with you all on is how often do you do billing? Right, so some of you might do it weekly, some maybe fortnightly, some monthly, some may not have a set schedule. So if you don't mind, just put your answers there on the right-hand side. What I've noticed as a business coach is that, I can't mention any names because of confidentiality, but all I'll say is that I know of providers that have been like more than $10 million revenue, and their billing cycle wasn't even monthly. It was like inconsistent, doing lots of different things. Some people do it fortnightly because they go, oh, I'll just do it the same as payroll. Like, there's lots of attitudes and beliefs around things, but what I can say is that doing things weekly is something that I've witnessed the top 25 providers do in practice. I think doing your billing weekly and doing it on a Monday at the beginning of the business week is, in my opinion, best practice. So I hope today we can give some insights for it's not just about doing it weekly, it's about how you make it easy to do things weekly, okay? Yeah, and another thing is also linking to your payroll cycle. Like, as a quick conversational point, Ria, in my own business, we brought on a general manager 2 weeks ago, and she's incredible. And she made straight away an observational point. She goes, well, wait a minute, why are you doing payroll that way at this time of the week? Why don't you just align it Monday to Sunday, and then have your billing Monday to Sunday, right? And so the idea was weekly billing, fortnightly payroll. And then her very astute point was, from a payroll point of view, wait to the Wednesday to then process the stuff of the 2 weeks prior. And the reason I'm bringing up this story now, by the way, everyone, is that, think about it, a lot of the time Mondays are public holidays. And so your staff they'll get upset, oh, why didn't I get paid on the public holiday and things like that. But also when it comes to collecting your money from plan managers, for example, especially, as we all know, if you get it a good one, it could be 4 or 5 days, but sometimes it's a bit longer. So again, just have that in your mind. Like, let's say, yes, billing is one thing. If you do it on a Monday, and then maybe if you think about, maybe I could do something like that with the payroll every 2 weeks on a Wednesday, then the outcome for your business is that ultimately you're going to maximize your chances of having all of that cash in the bank so that you're ready to pay your staff, no matter how quickly you're scaling. So I hope that makes sense. But yes, I'm sure, Ria, with all your clients, you do lots of variations of that, but it's all customizable.
Exactly. So everything you've got in poll, we have got clients like that. So
Exactly. So we've got a bit of a mix. More than half are doing weekly, some fortnightly, some monthly. So thank you for that. The other quick key question I want to ask everyone before we get into any slides or conversations is, oh, sorry, I put the wrong poll up. Let me do another one. Is how do you do your billing? Okay, so the next question is how, right? So is it manually, whether that be in some kind of Excel document or figuring things out? Maybe you're uploading an Excel or some kind of CSV file or something to an accounting system. That's quite common. They could be doing it directly in the accounting system, and that's, again, I've been there, done that too. I'll put up my dirty confession. And then there's the final way, which we'll talk a lot about today, which is the idea of an API. Now, an API just means a direct connection to your Xero or your MYOB, etc. So yeah, thank you. This is great, everyone. Thank you for being but we don't know your individual names and who's answering what there, but thank you for being honest. It sounds like a lot of people, you're doing it weekly, great, but there's a lot of manual stuff going on. So Ria, I'm sure you'll be excited for us to connect on this, like how we can just like do click of a button things instead.
exactly. So I would really want to help with, because I can see in the poll that people are saying that they're doing it either manually, uploading a file, or directly into their accounting system. Because all of these things, the API to accounting system is the best way to run it, because there's no double handling of work. There's less human error that would come up. And because when we sending it from the system to directly to your accounting platform through an API, there's nothing that has to be done from your end. It's just you have to approve the timesheets. It's a person accountable for approving the timesheets. After that, system takes care of it. And also with the account timesheets, it can all be automated in case everybody wants it to be. So I can see that people are doing it manually, uploading files, and for some are also doing it directly in the accounting, because all of it is a double handling of work. And doing directly in an accounting platform, that does create a lot of chance of a human error, because you have to check your rostering platform, you have to check the timesheets, and then you have to manually enter there.
Exactly. And what I'll say is that the PowerPoint slides we're about to show you and have a chat about, without doing a spoiler alert, we're going to show you how you can do one click of a button and it goes straight into the accounting system via API. But I'm going to show you some additional things, which are all of the ways that you kind of set things up, whether it be schedules of supports, quotes, the way you raise a shift inside of the rostering function. Because actually, if you get all of that done in a smart way, what it means is that if you meet certain rules, and then you can automatically say, yep, that's approved, that's approved, that's approved. That can go straight through to invoice. And that was groundbreaking when I started using Ezanga myself in my own business. So enough of us. Let's go to some PowerPoint.
Yeah, exactly. People would want to see it. They would say, okay, they're talking about, what is it about?
Yeah, tell me what the bloody hell you're talking about. So Ria, can you see the PowerPoint slides?
I can.
Fantastic. Okay, let me show you everyone like 3 or 4 painful ways to do stuff. Okay, so first of all, let's set the scene. We're recording this in the first week of July 24. So as you all know, the price guide just came out. This is a painful subject right now because we had about 3.2% increase in some of the core supports, no increases for support coordination or plan management. There's lots of painful bits, but the thing that makes it extra painful is that the SHADS award increases were 0.5% higher than the price guide increase. So that means that your margins are squeezed by 0.5%. In addition to that, our superannuation commitments this financial year have also gone up, I believe, by another 0.5%. So the point is that margins keep on getting squeezed, and so there's a whole percentage gone, right, because of the recent updates. And what we're about to show you now can literally show you how you get on top of cash flow, but also you're reducing the administrational burden. So if you can save on the human factor costs and reduce the human error factor, then that's why it's relevant in the context of the industry. Of course, you can do things by downloading the support catalog in Excel and all these manual methods. You can do things by creating your own templates, no matter how fancy we think we are. There's still the human error risk. And of course, you can do manual file uploads. So some people might be using other rostering systems and they go, oh, I can upload it to Xero, but still remember you have to download it, then upload it. And it's a bit clunky still. So let us show you some more enlightened ways. So I'm sure there's the chat box, by the way, on the right hand side. Please, just for a second, take a moment to put in the accounting system that you use. Ezanga via API directly connects to Xero, MYOB, QuickBooks, KeyPay, and Sage. So that means this idea of one click and then invoices are created. I'm sorry for the sound effects, it's my personality. That is all possible with all of these systems.
Yeah, and apart from these as well, in case there's someone using any other system and that system provides us with the API, we can integrate it for them as well. So it's not that if these are the only 5 platforms, in case they're using anything else, they can let us know and we check the APIs for them.
And Ria, again, big compliment to Ezanga. I've never met a CMS company in the NDIS that's so willing just to go, yep, we'll fix that. Like you guys just turn stuff around quickly and dynamically and competently. So, there's a big difference compared.
Thank you so much. And I don't know why I keep saying it again, but I know you for the fact that you using it and you love us as a company maybe, but thank you so much for these kind words. It's always lovely to talk to you.
Likewise. And I'm a hard customer in a way because I'm very detailed. Now, one of the things, Ria, well, I am. I don't mind saying it. Ria, we again with the July 1 thing, with the updates to the actual price guide. Again, some systems you have to either do it yourself or it's cumbersome, or you have to upload it yourself via CSV. Can you just talk us through what Ezanga can do in terms of single click updates, basically every financial year that rolls by?
Generally, we do upload and give the new price guides as well. But in case there's someone who wants to do it at their end, there's just with a single click where we say upload NDIS price guide. So you just need to download the price guide from NDIS platform and then just upload it here by letting the system know what is the start date of this price guide. That's all. After that, all the prices, they get updated itself. You don't have to go in each one of it and update it. Nothing that sort of. It all will be done with a single click.
Exactly. And in this example here, I use Xero in my own business. So in terms of having that connection between Xero at the item code level and Ezanga, see that yellow button there that says sync with Xero? That's all I had to do a few days ago to literally go click, and it was updated in 10 seconds. So that's a relevant point, because that stuff.
We really recommend that people use just one single system. So we try to minimize as much as we can. So we want you to use our platform, Ezanga, and we give everything here that we sync it from here to your Xero. But there are a few things that even Xero restricts us. If there's a restriction from a third party, that is where even we are restricted to not send it further directly. But most of the things we do it directly from our platform to Xero. You don't have to manage our platform and Xero as well.
Right. So it becomes the source of truth, which is in IT, that's a fundamental distinction. Where is the source of truth, right?
Exactly.
And again, it's kind of like setting the scene. Sorry, go ahead.
As a common point of information, that's a basic thing where everybody struggles. And that's the solution we give with Ezanga.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to creating schedules of supports and service agreements, and also sometimes quotes, as we know, we're collaborating often with support coordinators, and it's very important to be able to raise an easy quote so that we're definitely on the same page, that there's enough money in the budget. And the thing I want to show you on the screen here, which fundamentally eventually feeds through to billing, is that, as you can see in the highlighted area on the bottom right there, what Ezanga is doing is, in this example of assistance with self-care, you as a user, you only need to say where it's the daytime rate, the evening rate, the Saturday rate, etc. Ultimately, what ends up on the invoice is the right item code, and actually the item code is automatically interpreted according to the time of the shift. So if you've got, say, on your quote, a mixture of daytime, evening, Saturday, Sunday, public holiday, you don't need to worry about the interpretation of the hours and the time of day and the day of the week, etc. It's done for you. So again, think about the end-to-end flow of information. It's not just about one click creating an invoice. It's about the flow through automatically.
Right.
So yeah, I love that feature too. Another thing, when you're creating shifts, right? Same idea. You shouldn't have to, because some other systems you do. You have to select the actual item code, and you have to, as you're raising the shift, you have to go, oh, is this daytime? Is this an evening? You have to do all of that. Here, when you're creating a shift, it's just the broader category of assistance, self-care, community access, etc. So that again ultimately feeds through to billing automatically. Also, I've got some persistence.
That's for decreasing the human error, because at times the line item code can be wrong. It's not someone is doing it purposely, but it can be by chance as well. So we don't give the leverage to people. So they just have to select the support item name. The line item number is picked up by system itself. As per the shift timing, system will pick up what is the line item number.
Correct. And even if let's say you have a participant that has only one billing item, let's say it's only assistance and self-care, in the participant's profile itself, you can actually default the billing item too, so that when you're creating a shift, it automatically proposes that, essentially. So yes, reduces human error. I also have some participants where, for budget reasons, the coordinator will say, look, I need you to do half of the budget into personal care activities and the other half into community access. And hey, for community access, that's the only item where I can, bill kilometers, for example. So again, when you're creating an actual shift, Ezanga has I think a rare function in the industry to be able to say, this is the shift from 12 p.m. till 2 p.m., but bill half of it here and half of it there. So yeah, that's called splitting the billing item in Ezanga too. Yeah, are there any other kind of contexts around that one, Ria, in terms of that function in particular?
Yeah, with this one, it's because if we don't give this function, there are 2 to 3 different shifts that has to be maintained. and generally it gets to be less than 2 hours, which is below the minimum shift length. So there's a justification you have to give there as well. So that is the reason we have inculcated here, so that it goes and affects your billing, but there's nothing to do with your payroll here. So you don't have to worry about it. So system takes care of it. So system will split the billing for you, but the payroll goes as it is. But in case you're creating 3 different shifts, there's again when you have to take care of your payroll, of how it is working there, how do you get splitting, and how do you fix that as just one single shift for a single person. So that's where it gets.
Yeah, exactly. It's a wonderful function, because again, say in the zero invoice, you'd have 2 line items in this example here. You go 1 hour here, 1 hour there, right? And it matches all the, NDIS plan management requirements to pay an invoice. So that's cool. Another thing, which again is it's not just operational, it's kind of structurally important. We have to say to ourselves, what does it mean to complete a shift, right? So I'm sure all of you watching this have had the challenge of asking your support worker team to write shift notes, care notes, progress notes, right? So, what Ezanga does is it can mark automatically a shift as incomplete if certain criteria aren't met. And one of those examples are care notes, they're called there. And the minimum character requirement is 150 characters. So it's kind of holding the support workers to standard. And it stops you from passing that through to billing. It stops you from passing it through to payroll if, for example, they've not done their care notes. Could you tell the audience a bit about the microphone function there and what that does? Because that's one of my favorites.
So with that, it's kind of a speech to text. So it can be cumbersome when it comes to writing notes, and your support workers, they can feel lazy about it, that if we've just finished shift, now we have to type 150 characters to complete the shift. That is when we give them this feature. They just click on the microphone, they speak out, and the notes are written on itself.
Exactly. And then also you can save your progress notes, care notes whilst you're in the shift, and then submit it later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, everyone, the reason I mention this is that you don't want incomplete shifts to pass through to billing, because if it then comes to audit or anything being questioned, you go, oh, wait a minute, I can't bill for that yet. You want the system to stop you systematically, so to speak. Yeah,
is not much. It's just like around 150 characters gets to be 2 to 3 lines. So it stops your support worker to just write, okay, I've completed the shift. As an NDIS provider, for your audit as well, not just for audit, also to look at the progress of the participant. There's nothing picky there. So all that you would at least need to know about what has exactly gone through. So at least 2 to 3 lines can define that, rather than just someone writing, I've completed the shift.
Exactly. The other thing on signature, exactly, that's perfect. And then also on the signature side, this is intended to be the participant's signature. So if that was ever under question, you could say, well, wait a minute, you confirmed that this shift was done. I respect that not every participant can always sign, and that's something to be figured out internally within your business. But that's the intention there. And then if you do those things, you can then, quote, clock out. And clocking out does a real timestamp where you go, yep, this person actually clocked out at this time. One common thing that... Yeah.
Sorry. With still, the signature is also helpful at the places where everybody has got an on-site manager. So people go and do a shift there, and there's a manager who looks after them, right? So that is when the signature can be helpful for that manager to sign off the accommodation shift, rather than just support worker signing, or there are 3 different participants there. It's the manager who would sign it off, seeing everything has met through.
Good point. And the idea of clocking out, Ezanga is very customizable in terms of some providers would bill based on the actual time that the support worker's there. That's one option. And that's not what I do. I bill my participants and pay my support workers based on the scheduled time. And that's also, configurable to do. So if it goes from 9 to 12, that's it. It's 3 hours. So having said that, in my scenario, I still notice that sometimes my support workers get overwhelmed and they forget to do, something, whether it be even just pressing the clock out button. So you can still allow your workers to clock out from anywhere within, say, 24 hours of the shift. So that works well, because it's automatically dealt with. But when it comes to clocking in, that's fundamentally operational safety. And because if they don't clock in within 10 minutes, then at the right physical location, if you set it up that way, then they also get a warning email as an admin. So that's crucial too. The other thing, Ria, that I want to talk about are these shift forms. So we've got one lady that we support that has got a lot more complex care, and of course she's got a Webster pack. So to pass the NDIS audit requirements, best practice is to have. I think you don't need pieces of paper when you use a system like Ezanga, because you can actually, you can put the observation of the meds inside a shift form and say, yep, it was the bedtime medicine, it was accepted, the 7 rights of medication were done, yes, and it's all really easy. Time, date stamps, submit, and it's all just there. And another key example is when you're liaising with other third-party allied health practitioners. So in this food, bowel, and behavior diary, this is a very real thing for our business where we have to collaborate with the dietitian, and the dietitian wants to see daily entries for every single food and drink item whilst on shift. And having it there as a mandatory form, those little tick boxes that you can say, and that again, everyone stops the shift from being marked as complete if it's not done. So can you see how we're using technology here to hold our support worker team to account, and again, only pass through the things that are, quote, completed through to the billing process. Yes. That's the distinction here.
Right. And with this, we don't restrict people to not clock out from the shift. Clock out still goes through, but it is marked as incomplete. So people might be in a thing like they will not be able to clock out in case they're not entering the notes or not filling the forms, but that's not the criteria here. We still let them clock out, but we give them a leverage. For example, you're doing the billing, you have to do it on Monday. You can send a news feed saying that everybody please complete your timesheets, or please complete all of your shifts, because on Monday you're going to pass through the billing and payrolling. That is when everybody is accountable to complete their shifts, and that is when this comes in place. And we mark, so you don't have any revenue loss there. That's the reason we have put in, and there's nothing that you're going to face in audit as well, because everything is on point. And you don't have to worry about sudden auditing, which is happening these days.
Yep. So as you can see, all of these things are the process inputs, so to speak, to ultimately then actually coming through to the billing process, right? So in Ezanga, you can do a shift transaction report, and you can select the date range. It's everything from plan managed, agency managed, and private self-managed. And you can also have accommodation functions for SIL houses, etc. And what's really cool is that basically what you're seeing on the screen here is every line item is a shift. So if you wanted to check out what was going on inside of that shift, you could just right click on it, enter it, and see the go. But it really is as simple as, you can also review the calculations. If you ever want to say, well, how did it get there? You just literally click on the transaction details and it gives you the calculation, which is a nice reassuring function if you ever want to know how did the system do it. And then, Ria, maybe talk us through like the actual creation of the invoice process here.
Yeah, but with the invoices, it's like that. We've got automated timesheets. Once that your shifts are completed, it flows through the timesheets. There's someone accountable who would approve the timesheets for you. Now, when it comes to Ezanga, you can let us know what is your approving criteria. In case, say, there's 5 minutes of discrepancy, you want to auto approve the shifts. We can do that already for you. So there's someone held accountable for approving the shifts, but once it has been approved from there, that is when it will flow down to your transactions. That's your invoicing and your payrolling both. Once it has come through, you just put in your date range for whatever you want to do the billing for. And in case you're doing it weekly, you're doing it fortnightly, you can let us know. We can also automate those dates for you. You don't have to punch in the dates as well. So you just go through, click on the checkbox, which has been ticked here, and then you click on invoice. Now, when we say invoice to be clicked, so now there are 5 shifts we could see in that date range. And for Rianne, there are 3 shifts. And for Suzanne, there are 2 shifts. That is when only 2 invoices are created for you. And in case they are plan managed people, the shifts done for them are plan managed. That is when they would be sent to your plan managers automatically. You don't have to go in Xero, put in the plan manager's name. So the invoice is already created for you in Xero, but there's a thing here, we send it in a draft mode. Not like we cannot send it directly to your clients, but it is just for your accountant to just go through once before sending it to the client. Invoice has already been created. There's no need to create an invoice there. They just have to check it and click on the send button. That's all.
Exactly. And it can be done en masse, right? So you could, once you really start to love, embrace, and trust it all, which you do after a few weeks, kind of go, oh shit, it's just right. You basically go to Xero and go, all of your invoices, approve, and then you can select all invoices and click email, and it just sends all of them. So, just to emphasize, let's say it was my plan manager or something as the plan management company, it would automatically in Xero bring it across. It would go, dear plan manager, please find invoice for Dr. Ian Nex here. And then if it was private, it would say, dear Miss Susan Smith, please find your invoice here because you're self-managed. So it's automatically interpreting the way that you address the two-person, so to speak. Yeah, I think this is an example of what it looks like in Xero. I'm sorry, it's a bit blurry. But yeah, you got a line item for every single shift. It tells you who the shift was, the times, it's all there, and all the item codes. And in the top right there on the reference field, that's the NDIS number, for example. So yeah, it's incredibly effective. Like I've started to notice that I can do the billing process in 15, 20 minutes on a Monday now. Like I'm just really trusting it, and it's seamless. So it gives you the right.
It's no more that you have to sit for 2 days, 3 days to punch in everything. Even with the larger organizations, it's just done within like 10 to 15 minutes, and at times it doesn't even take 10 minutes. It's just
exactly. Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. Yes. Could you talk us through a little bit about the agency managed stuff and Proda, for example?
Yep. So for the NDIA timesheets, the people who are agency managed, for them, what we do is we can also directly link to your Proda in case there's a form that has to be filled with the client to get the API from Proda. But in case they are not willing to share that with us, that is when we just give them a download. They just need to put in. So in this CSV file, only people will come through who are agency managed. You can just download the CSV and just directly upload it there. It is given in the same format of what is accepted there. And you would be able to say it will work like a cream. It doesn't even take like around 3 to 5 minutes. That's all. Download from here, upload there, and it's all done for you.
That's amazing.
In case it's not directly connected, but in case you are giving us that details, the form that has to be filled, you giving us that, we directly connect it through an API.
Exactly, and that's in the Proda example there. You can do it if you want to do it that way. So I think I'll be doing it that way for sure. But yeah, it's good to know. And of course, sometimes there's Proda, there's Paste, there's some change going on in the market. But again, yes. It's got the function to do that. What about reporting on NDIA transactions?
So with the reporting as well, you would just click on here. So you can click on the date range. It's like completely your choice. For example, you want to have the report for last 1 month, say last 2 months. That is when you just punch in the time details there, and all the transactions that has been done for an agency managed participant, they would just come up through in a CSV or Excel format.
Okay, great. So it really is truly all three different types of customer basically. That's really good. The other thing that, again, when my new general manager came on, she mentioned that some of the other larger systems that have been around for a long time, I won't say names, but some of the big ones, right? Even those systems don't have the ability to have this reconciliation function. So here are 2 examples. You've got when you initially generate an invoice, it will be in draft. And then when you send it, it'll go to authorized. And then eventually when you get paid, that status actually comes back. So that inside of Xango is the source of, truth. You can literally at the shift level, it is one invoice for all the shifts for that week or whatever, but like fundamentally, look at that. So, wonderful for reconciling.
Yes, and it's easy as well. It's pretty easy. You don't have to do anything. It's every 5 minutes we run a cron job that gets reflected and gets connected for your accounting platform. That is when we're fetching all these details. So you don't have to worry about like if today you've marked it as paid, after 2 days you would see it as paid in Xango. It's not the case. You would see it right away.
Nice. Yeah, and look, I mean, this is me doing a quick run through and us having a passionate chat about it. But let me come off the slides here for a second. But again, just to kind of, some of you maybe know me as the sales and marketing guy in the NDIS, which is the lane that I live. But when it comes to systems and what I actually recommend and put my name to, basically, I holistically, I'd say it's the combination of these on the screen. Like Xango is amazing for all your rostering, HR, payroll, the whole lot. And then when it comes to the sales and marketing machine and the email campaigns and all that stuff, that's where I still recommend HubSpot combined with other platforms. But, sometimes it's a common question, do I need both? And the answer is that they do different things, right? But Xango does so many comprehensive functions. This is why we're kind of doing these webinar series to break them down. And today was just looking at the billing. So Let me get off the PowerPoint here and see what questions there might be, because I know we've been having a good chat. So if I just go to the chat here, let me close that poll. So yeah, tell me, people in the audience there, have you, does that, I want to see what kind of questions are coming up. Has anyone got any questions after seeing that type of thing? Can you see any differences compared to what you're doing today?
And with most of the people, I've seen that it's Xero, which they've been using for their accounting platform as an accounting platform. That's a major chunk of people who use it.
Yes, and that's very common. And with Xero, if we just address one question I've had before is, I'm trying to remember, Rio, is it Xero's got a limit for payroll at either 100 or 200 employees? Is it 200?
I think it's around 200. Yes, it's around 200.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So one question that you kind of obviously say is, well, what happens when I get big enough, to go beyond 200? And I suppose the simple answer is you could change your accounting system and just continue to connect it to Ezanga, right?
Invoicing, because if in case you don't want to use it for invoicing, just go for the payroll one, because it's that restriction is with the payroll, not with your invoicing part.
Okay, I see what you mean. That's actually not impossible, is it? Yeah, good point. Because you can also do, you can do payroll and billing separately. Yeah, true.
Yes.
Yeah. So Rubina, you said that, you can definitely see the difference. You've got an operational admin, that is burden heavy right now. So I hope you can see in just this one example, that once you've got it set up, it becomes very seamless. Theo, you've got a question here. Does Ezanga use dynamic forms that can automate support plans, risk assessment forms, and collect participant information and input it all into the participant profile?
Yes, it does. We've run like previous 2 webinars which were mostly based on these ones, and I would highly recommend, if Chris would have a recording for that, he may share it with you as well. But yes, Ezanga does all that. Like, we've got the dynamic forms, we cover your risk assessments, your support plans, your schedule of support, your service agreements, your contracts, everything is inbuilt. And there are a few templates as well, which we have for your forms, be it shift forms, be it your participant forms. But apart from the leverage of what system has, we've also given you the leverage to create your own forms in case there's something which your organization does exclusively for you yourself. So Ezanga does have that provision.
Yes, and it's very much end to end, right? So the thing I want to emphasize is that, take for even the initial inquiry, there's the contact referral form that allows you to enter the name of the participant, other details, etc. That all ultimately gets taken through to create the initial profile of a participant, right. And then from there you can then, as Ria said, you can raise a service agreement once you've got certain information, right? So you never want to have to repeat the entering of that information. You just want it in a database or a database, so that you can, just continually reuse it, basically. So that's the idea. Rubina, you also said, is weekly billing recommended? Yes, absolutely. I recommend weekly billing and then payroll fortnightly. Does anyone else have any other technical questions as well? Because just before I know we've been quite snappy and dynamic. We're trying to keep these things, an exciting pace. Right. Does anyone else have any other questions before we wrap it up? Just put them in the chat box if you do. Okay, maybe not at this point, but yes. And look, just in terms of my role in Ezanga, basically, yes, I have my own NDIS business on the Central Coast called Steadway, and I also do the sales and marketing consulting through Peak Provider, and I only recommend systems that I have, put through so much rigor. And when Ria and I met, we met for 4.5 hours over 2 meetings, and I was like, okay, what about this? What about that? I highly recommend, having a chat with them. Think about not just how your business is right now. Think about also how it can scale. And because as soon as you get the right things in place, that's how you can then maybe have less of a worry on your mind about, oh God, how am I going to do that?
They have to focus less on the admin stuff, because system handles that for them, and they can go out, look for business. That's where we say them that investing in a good software, good CRM can make wonders and difference to the organization. It really can do that.
Absolutely. And then, just to kind of whet people's appetite, I guess I'll ask one final question myself. Ria, could you give us an idea about the other types of things? Because, we've kind of alluded to rostering, we've given a hint about quotations, billing, and we're not talked about payroll today. That'll be for another time. But what about things like HR? Can you do HR functions? And,
Yes,
how's
of
that
course.
all kind of work?
We call Izango HR, which is a separate entity to what NDIS, what our Izango Care partner does. But typically for our NDIS clients or our aged care clients, that is we merge these two platforms for you. So we take care of all of your HR needs, be it your contracts, be it any kind of your business letters, be it your performance review, employee engagement. We're also coming up with the recruitment platform. So all of that will be done within Izango itself. You will not have to manage 3, 4, 5 different systems, because that is where the pain point of the people is. I've spoken to many providers, and even from my team, Shivani and I have spoken to many people. That is when we get to know that they are using maybe 6 systems at the time, 7 systems at the time. That is where we want to cut that down for them. Believing in one single system which is able to do everything for you, I think it is a lot more easier for an organization to learn one system rather than doing here and there and then going, and that is where your time is also wasted. And we value time. Time is money, and everybody knows that.
Yes, exactly. And also, again, some 6 systems that people might use that vanilla, and vanilla in IT just means out the box, harder to change. Whereas there's kind of like there's always 2 or 3 different ways you can do it in Izango, and if you want to just put some icing sugar and some chocolate and some caramel, it's all possible. You just throw it all in as per requirements. Yes. Brilliant. Well, listen, I think what we'll do is we'll wrap it up. If you're interested in seeing a demo from Izango, either Ria or someone from her team would be very happy to do so. Just please, click on that link that's in the chat box. There's also the poll there on the right hand side. And yeah, thank you very much for everyone dialing in today. And Ria, it's been a pleasure as always to connect with you and share the fellow passion about what's possible.
Likewise.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Absolute pleasure. Yeah, thank you, Ria, and thank you everyone for dialing in. Yeah, thank you so much. But please keep an eye out. We'll email you guys to let you know about the next webinar. We're doing these about once a month. And yeah, there'll be more information soon about some of the other kind of areas and how to use them best. So have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.